Dallas, the first rematch on the Broncos schedule. Is this the week the Broncos snap that nasty streak and beat the Kansas City Chiefs? We will soon find out. Welcome in to Broncos Weekend, everybody. I'm Matt Boyer alongside the Hall of Famer Steve Atwater. Steve, a big week, a lot to get to. We're going to mention also, we're getting to a guy that the Broncos added this week, a familiar face. We'll get to him in just a second. But first, after what can only be described as a historic game in Broncos history, probably not the brightest spot in Broncos history, but that Saints game will definitely go down as one to remember. How do the Broncos turn the page now? Obviously, with Kendall Hinton as quarterback, you can't really use much of that offensive film. but how do the Broncos now turn the page and get ready for another test, one of the biggest tests of their schedule?
Yeah, I think it'll be quite simple, especially taking into account that the quarterback situation is something that it's an anomaly. That won't happen again.
Right.
That's a one-time issue. And who could win without having a starting quarterback and then, finding out like a day or two before the game. So they'll be able to forget about this game, move forward, and continue to improve. And that's what they're going to have to do. This is a tough Kansas City Chiefs football team on both sides of the ball.
There's no easing back into it for the Broncos this week as the Broncos take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's take a look at that quarterback matchup. It's not Kendall Hinton this week. It's going to be Drew Lock against Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes last week throwing for over 460 yards through the air. Let's get to Lock first, though, Steve. How much will last week motivate Drew? Because he had the great game against Miami, course corrected very nicely against the Dolphins, but then sits out. How does that stunt his momentum at all? What does he need to focus on against the Chiefs?
Yeah, I hope it doesn't stunt his momentum. Sometimes it can, though, especially with it being such a big distraction and, everyone all across the country kind of tuned into the game because, hey, they're playing a game without a regular quarterback playing. So hopefully he can get honed in and focused on what he has to do and pick up where he left off. But I think it will have some lingering effects, at least for this week. But he's got to get that out of his mind because we got to beat the Chiefs. And, this is one of the best rivalries in the AFC West. And it's been that way for a long time. And we got to get back to our winning ways. So let's go, Drew. Get focused, baby.
Locke saying this week that it hurt his soul to watch that game last week, so we know the motivation is certainly there. On the flip side, though, Steve, Patrick Mahomes last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, this guy's playing on a different level with Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill over three touchdowns and over 260 yards receiving. So is Mahomes, in your mind, the MVP of the league so far? And if so, how do the Broncos keep pace?
Yeah, now there are some other quarterbacks that are playing well. Of course, Russell Wilson's playing well. We also got Ben Roethlisberger's playing well. They're undefeated. Aaron Rodgers is playing well. But when you look at them all, you stack all the quarterbacks up, there's one at the top, and that's Patrick Mahomes. He's definitely in the lead for MVP of the league this year. Not just offensive, it's just overall MVP. Man, he's just one heck of a player. The accuracy, the decision making, he uses his legs and his arm. But he's got some great weapons too. But he does his part by putting people in the right position and being a good leader for the team and throwing amazing passes.
Yeah, Fangio saying that one of those weapons, Tyreek Hill, is one of the fastest, if not the fastest player that he's seen in his time as an NFL head coach. I think Fangio's seen a lot of games.
Yeah. but the thing is, though, in addition to being fast, sometimes you have guys who are super fast but they can't catch. Tyreek Hill has great hands. And it always amazes me how a guy, I thought he was a kind of a small guy. You look at him on the field, it looks kind of, yeah, he's thick, man. He's a good-sized wide receiver, and the speed is just really amazing. He's a difficult guy to cover, not just for our team. Any team across the NFL, they have problems when they face Tyreek Hill.
Some of the guys tasked with stopping each of these quarterbacks now, Steve, we're talking safeties. This is right up your alleyway. As we look at Justin Simmons and Tyrann Mathieu in the safety spotlight, both of these guys leading the AFC at the safety position for Pro Bowl votes. Let's go first to Simmons, Steve. When you think about Justin, he's got 4 picks already this season, 1 more, and that'll be a career best 5 in a season for him. Why is he playing well? He's had some success against the Chiefs, 2 interceptions in the past 2 trips to Arrowhead. So why does this matchup lend itself to his skill set, and why is he playing so well this year?
Well, I think he's playing well because he's familiar with this defense. He feels comfortable with it. He's been in it for a couple of years now. He knows he's a natural leader as it is anyway. And his thing is, hey, going and getting the football. And the Kansas City Chiefs are going to throw it, so he'll have plenty of opportunities to make plays. I think it's a really good matchup. I would like to see him playing back there in the deep, whether deep thirds or deep halves, because I think that's where he can make the most plays. Because like I said, they're gonna put it up. They're gonna try and put it up deep sometimes.
On the flip side, Tyrann Mathieu, Noah Fant saying earlier this week that Mathieu, whenever he's on the field, you got to keep track of 32 because they like to bring him up into the box. He can go deep with a tight end or a wide receiver. He's really all over the field. Why do you think, Steve, that how do they utilize him, and why do you think he plays at such a high level?
Yeah, just like you said. I mean, they move him around to different places because he's good at rushing the pass. He can blitz off the edge. He can come up and tackle. You saw him tackle big Derrick Henry. So the guy is fearless. And I knew that about him when he was in college at LSU. He's just a great player. Not realizing he was the size that he was. That goes to show, man, you don't have to be a big guy to bring down big football players. So he's been doing a great job for them, especially as of late. We got to know where he is at all times.
One note about the safety position this week, Bryce Callahan for the Broncos going to IR, which means the Broncos pick up a safety off the waiver wire. Our old friend, Will Parks, Philly Will,
yes,
back in Denver. The Eagles waiving him recently, so the Broncos put a waiver claim in on him. They're awarded Philly Will. So when you think about Parks and what he's able to do, first of all, what are the Broncos getting by bringing back Will, and how do you see this playing out as we hit the stretch run?
Yeah, well, first off, Coach Fangio knows what he has in Philly Will Parks. Coach Fangio and Coach Donatel, not only is he a really good player, but he's also a fiery guy. He's a guy who, you love him in the locker room. He's a guy who's a personable guy who's going to get fired up and get the guys fired up to play. And he's really good at covering, whether it be a tight end or a wide receiver in the slot. And, of course, with Bryce Callahan being down, going to IR for the rest of the year, he'll have to step in and help out in some of those roles. Now, he won't be able to play against the Chiefs, obviously, but going forward, I see him playing a big role. Now, Essang Bassi as well. He's going to his reps and probably Duke Dawson, their reps will increase, but Philly will get a chance to show what he can do.
The Broncos definitely getting a good person in Will Parks. Vic Fangio is saying that not only does he have nickel versatility, but also a good locker room guy. So good to see him back in the Broncos locker room as they hit the stretch run.